So, hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Gail Friend, and I want to introduce you to Katie Keller Wood. I met Katie 6 months ago. I was instantly drawn to her spirit and her energy. She's so dynamic and lovely. I'm also really fascinated by her work, and it dovetails so beautifully with my message. I really wanted to introduce you to her work, because it's so valuable. We have her book Alignment coming out. We
We do.
the world
The whole
has her book
world.
coming out very soon, the title of which is Alignment. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, Katie, would you mind telling all of us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Gail. I just want to echo that, yes, we met I can't believe it's only been 6 months because we do have just such overlap in our work and how we approach the world, and how we see the world. And I also just felt that instant connection with you. So thank you so much for inviting me to have this conversation with you. And I'm thrilled to meet and hopefully serve your community. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Katie Keller Wood. I have my primary job, my day job, if you will, is to serve as the executive director of a very large secondary Montessori training program. And so, in that capacity, I've been a Montessori teacher. Now I work with Montessori teachers of middle and high school students, so secondary age, adolescent age. And I've seen in that world. I was not a Montessori student myself, and discovering that approach, both as a pedagogy and as a philosophy, just really changed me deeply. And now, in my role as executive director over the last decade, I've worked with about 1,000 teachers, and they also often come and report that yes, they have learned some new things about teaching and some different ways of being in the classroom and with students, but also that they've changed as human beings and that they approach their work differently. They're different as parents, they're different as partners, they're different as community members. And I've just really come to believe that some of the most beautiful things about Montessori education don't have to be reserved for the tiny percentage of humans who receive a Montessori education. And so
Mhm.
that was really that and really wanting to serve people who do big, important work in the world were the two reasons that I started to write my book. And so it is launching into the world very soon. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to share with your community, Gail. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm thrilled that you're here.
Yay.
I love having these conversations with you about this work. Um, Montessori, when I think of Montessori, I think of little kids.
Yeah.
And so that was so intriguing at first about how that Montessori philosophy
Mhm.
is so valuable to humans of all ages.
Yes.
That is what really struck me. And the title of the book again is Alignment,
Mhm.
because you brought forward something that a lot of people don't talk about and goes against what the general status quo is about how to
Mhm.
have a holistic life,
Yeah.
in that you don't want to talk about work-life balance.
I don't.
It is about alignment.
Yeah.
And and this comes from that Montessori philosophy.
Right.
So, the women, so many women are high achievers. I mean, we
Mhm.
have to be. We carry the mental load.
Yep.
We have our careers, our families, our communities, all the people that we take care of,
Mhm.
uh, doing doing great work
Mhm.
and feeling stretched,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Absolutely.
Maybe, they've got all of this going on, but still feel that unfulfillment
Mhm.
inside, where they're a little dissatisfied. There's something missing.
Mhm.
So how does alignment fit into this
Yeah.
instead of work-life balance?
Yeah. Thank you so
Maybe we
much.
could talk about that.
Yeah, and I would say that was absolutely my challenge for so long, Gail. In that, here I was, and I came from a very high achieving academic paradigm, right? So you jump through the hoops, you achieve the goals, you be the best in the world. Like that is, life is a rat race, and that is, I was here to win it. I mean, that was the paradigm that I came up in, and it. And so I was a teacher, a conventional teacher for a little while before I became a Montessori teacher, and I really struggled even into the first few years of being a Montessori teacher because I couldn't find this work-life balance, and it was so frustrating to me because I knew that it had to exist. Everyone talked about it, right? All we need is
Right?
a little work-life balance. I just have to figure out like the right recipe or the right tricks or tips or something. And so I was constantly like time management strategies and all of these different things I would have. For me, this is so silly. I had all these like really strict rules about like, okay, this is when I'm allowed to get to work, this is when I'm going to leave work, I'm going to answer emails only until this time, and these are the conversation topics that are allowable on the weekends. Like, and I was trying to find like more joy, more freedom, more expansiveness through a legalism and restriction that just made no sense, right?
Right.
And it was in, becoming a Montessori teacher, living into that philosophy, and it is a very holistic philosophy. So, Montessori schools, and Montessori classrooms are very carefully set up to work with the whole child, right? So, absolutely, the academics are there, they are strong. The outcomes are quite impressive when you look at the research of Montessori students. And Montessori schools don't only nurture the academic side of a young person, right? They also build in opportunities to nurture them, socially, emotionally, physically, what are their physical needs, even spiritually, to find meaning and purpose and make space for big questions about, life and the universe and all of these things, right? So, it's a very holistic approach. And I said, we're doing all of this for our students. I need to be applying this to myself, to my own
Mhm.
life, right? And so, really kind of wrestling with these things, I just came to believe that, in my heart, work-life balance is a lie. Like it absolutely just doesn't exist. And I think that the pursuit of something that is actually impossible is what keeps us on the treadmill towards burnout, right? Because if I believe that something is possible and I can't get there, then I'm only more frustrated and only more, I'm down on myself. I beat myself up. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. And if I just tried harder, if I just was a better person, if I just figured out the right time management strategy, then all of this would go away and I would feel this magical bliss of work-life balance and I would feel great. But work and life, if we're going to balance them, that makes them separate and opposing forces, right? And I don't believe that that's true because our work is an important part of our lives, and our lives are an important part of our work. And so that's this holistic
Mhm.
Montessori approach. And so I came to believe instead that alignment is the right move. And I think of our lives as a beautiful mosaic, right? And so it's made up of all the different pieces of our lives. They actually did a beautiful representation of this on my cover. Um,
Oh, there it
but
is.
our
Yes.
lives are that, this beautiful mosaic, and we're always arranging and rearranging the pieces according to who we are and what we need right now.
I
So
love
I mean,
that.
and some of it feels really intuitive when we start to think about, if you have children, that's going to be probably a very important part of your life mosaic and probably many pieces of your life mosaic, but you can't prioritize those pieces before you have them. And then
Exactly.
when you become an empty nester, yes, they're still there, they're still important to you, but your alignment is going to shift. Those mosaic pieces are going to shift because you're not going to, Little League every Tuesday night anymore, right? So there's elements where our lives are always changing. And so alignment to me, and where I think this meets the needs of your community, Gail, is that it's really about how do you come home to yourself.
Mhm.
Alignment is about you are the boss of you. You are in charge of your own life. Because I know that so many women, as you mentioned, they're the glue. They're holding all the pieces together. They're serving everyone else. They're doing all the things that their family needs, their boss needs, their society needs, their community needs. And all of those are wonderful things. But alignment is about really determining what is your both your paycheck work and your purpose work. And they may have overlap, but they may have, some separation as well. And the pieces of your life mosaic are going to be made up of those pieces, but you get to decide if something is outside of, for me, when I realize something is outside of both my paycheck work and my purpose work, then it's not part of my life mosaic. And I learned to say no. And I learned to not feel any guilt about saying no, because it's not to say that that thing isn't valuable or a good thing, but that's not my work in the world to do. And so I can let go of that and live into, who am I meant to be? What is my unique brand of magic that I bring to the world that no one else can do? And that's what alignment is. It's about living into who are you meant to be in this time, in this space, to be the best for the world. I learned to let go of trying to be the best in the world because that's crazy. So it's really about coming home to yourself and building a life you don't want to escape from. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's so many things that came to me while you were speaking, because there's so much in this. And I've often seen where, use a pie, and
Yeah.
you've got this slice of the pie for this part of your life and this slice of the pie for that part of your life.
Right.
But I love the idea of the mosaic in that it can expand and contract and
Yeah.
moving the pieces around. It's
Mhm.
not rigid. And
Right.
you used the word about how restricted you made your own life.
Yeah.
And it's part of my
Right.
journey was
Right.
becoming unrestricted, really
Yes.
learning to unrestrict myself from those stories, those projections, those expectations, all
Mhm.
the things that we take on that really um, they take us away from
Yeah.
being intimately connected,
Yeah.
and which is
Yeah.
where we find that alignment.
Right.
And the world too is so noisy. There's
Yes.
so much stuff,
Mhm.
do this, you've got to do that, to have the right um, spine alignment. Do yoga. No, don't do yoga. Do Pilates.
Right.
No, don't do Pilates. Go to a massage therapist. No,
I
don't
know.
do that. You've got to go to a
Yeah.
chiropractor. No,
Right.
like, what?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So having um, that sovereignty, that authority over your own life, having that permission is really what
Mhm.
you're sharing with people.
Yeah.
You have permission to build your own life. And
Yes.
instead of in these rigid constructs,
Yep.
let's create a beautiful mosaic, which,
Yep.
works
And
for
you're
you
the
as
only one
well.
who can, actually. Like, you are
Yeah.
the only one who can build your life mosaic. There are going to be external things that affect your life mosaic, absolutely, right? So sometimes pieces have to be absorbed, or sometimes pieces are lost, and those are not chosen elements of your life. But you are the one who gets to prioritize the pieces and align and realign your own life mosaic. No one else gets to do that, right?
Mhm. Yeah. There's I forget what you called it,
A cosmic task.
a cosmic task.
Yes,
Yes, I would love for you to talk about this,
absolutely.
because when I talk about our vision for our life,
Mhm.
there has to be that emotional piece that feels really good.
Yeah,
And that's when you know it's in alignment.
that's right. That's
It
exactly
feels
how you know. Mhm.
expansive, if
Mhm.
it feels energized, it might feel a little bit scary,
Yep.
but is that fear telling you, no, this isn't right? Or is it that little bit of stretching yourself, your comfort zone, to what
Right.
feels really good, to move you in the direction of the person you want to be, in the life you want to live?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and cosmic task. I love this term.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, and what you just said too, Gail, so I'll talk about cosmic task in 1 second, but what you
Okay.
just said about the expansiveness and like how our lives, we're always growing. So, I've worked in education, but I'm so passionate about these ideas for adult development. And I think that one of the mistakes we sometimes make as adults is like we think we've arrived. Like we think we're like, here we are. I'm kind of this way. This is my personality. This is who I am. Like I'm here. And but in fact, as adults throughout our lifespan, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. And there are things that we can do to create conducive containers for positive adult development, right? So what you're talking about with that just right challenge level, where we're stretching, we're trying new things. It's maybe a little bit scary, it's maybe a little bit hard, but also
Learning to say no.
energized. Yeah, but we're energized by that work and we're excited about it as well, right? Those are the things that lead to adult development. And those are the things that make our life mosaic grow, and I think we can see this if we think back on the course of our lives, and especially in our paycheck work, in our workplace work, thinking about all the things that maybe were really challenging when we first entered the workforce or we took on a new position, or, Gail, you and I were just speaking about, running businesses, right? The first time that you do some of these things, it's a stretch, and it feels hard. And, it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And so, who I was and, when I was 23 and starting my teaching career, and the bandwidth that I had to, be a great teacher, plus also a great partner, plus also manage a household, plus also, those are skills that I developed over time. My mosaic got bigger and I could hold more pieces as I developed this capacity, right? As I grew
Mhm.
in my adult development, I could hold comfortably more pieces, bigger pieces, right? I could take on new and different challenges. That's how our mosaic grows. Um, and so I just think that that's a really like, that is you mentioned the pie. I've seen that many times too. You have your family slice and your work slice and all of these different things, but the pie is finite. And I don't believe that our time is finite. We do have to grapple with that. And I talk about that in my book. How could we shift to a Montessori perspective of time, which is expansive and deep? But time is finite, but our essence, are infinite. There is
Mhm.
no limit to your you-ness. Your you-ness is infinite, right? So our mosaic has no limit to how it can grow and evolve and all of these things. But the whole mosaic, I believe, fits into our purpose work. And that is, cosmic task for me. So cosmic task is a Montessori idea. Montessori students have, and through their elementary years in particular, a cosmic education. And the idea, there's a couple different pieces to this, but Montessori believed that everything in our interconnected universe has a unique role to fulfill. And so students learn from these young ages that the job of the wind is to purify the air, and the job of an adjective is to describe a noun. And it naturally leads students to say, okay, what is my work? What is my contribution? And so, what I love about this Montessori approach, especially when we deal with work-life balance,
Mhm.
a Montessori perspective of work has no negative connotations. Work is natural for human beings. It's how we contribute because throughout human history, we've had a drive to explore and to create and to, do meaningful things. And so work is evidence of our human life force. Work is something that is respected. Work is something that is inherently noble. And so, when we think about that, it made it all the more ridiculous to me that we would contrast something so beautiful with this thing called life. Like, obviously, that's part of our lives. But that's where I needed to have a little bit of separation between paycheck work and purpose work, right? So, a Montessori perspective of work is all about your purpose work, and that may or may not include your paid employment. It
Mhm.
does for me, but it doesn't have to. There's no right or wrong. It's not like, oh, you can't be in alignment if you don't feel this huge overlap between your paycheck work and your purpose work. That's not what I believe at all. But I
Mhm.
believe that we align our lives mostly around our purpose work. And obviously, our paycheck work has to be part of that life mosaic too, because we need to earn our paychecks and we need to live. So,
Right.
right?
It's like I spent a year at Art University,
Yes,
Emily Carr University of Art and Design in Vancouver. And I I love to paint. I love to
yes,
sketch.
yeah,
And so many people, oh, well, have you thought about doing that as a career? Like you could make some money at this. You could, I'm going, no, 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 no,
that's this.
because I actually tried that route at one point, and it was the fastest path to me falling out of love with my art
Yeah,
passion.
absolutely.
Now, it is something that fuels me.
Yes,
It contributes to my wellness,
right. Your
right?
healthy alignment. Hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
But it's not part of my pay work.
right.
Part of my purpose work is
Yes,
creating beauty in the world in whatever way that is, whether it's visual
absolutely.
art, whether it's helping people to feel that their life is more fulfilling and more beautiful. It's
Mhm.
contributing in that way. So, in some regards, it's a little bit paycheck work, but my art is not. It is
Yes,
my
exactly.
purpose work.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that that is, it's so important, right? And so, my book in particular, I know I've shared this with you, Gail, like it's especially written for people who love their work. They do love their work. And they know that their work is making a difference in the world because, we all have an interconnected role to play, right? In making society function. And so their work is where their unique brand of magic meets the needs of the world. And yet, their paycheck work isn't their only priority. And so I
Mhm.
think when that is true, they don't want to sacrifice their health, their well-being, their hobbies, their passions, their other passions to this all-consuming work. And yet if work-life balance isn't the model, how do we learn to come home to ourselves, right? So, I propose that we think of our lives as a mosaic, and then there's this alignment process that we can learn to check in with ourselves. It's part habit and part thinking tool, but we can learn to um, really attune to ourselves, which I know is what you help people to do when
Mhm.
they get to this place of, I've done all the right things. And it's not working, right? So I think what you do, Gail, and this is why I know we've felt this affinity with one another, is you solve this really important alignment challenge for people. They know they're out of alignment, something isn't right, but they don't know which pieces to attend to. And so I just love the work that you do in the world, in helping all of us to come home to ourselves and to figure out how to be our best for the world.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
Katie, I know absolutely without a doubt that after your book is released, every single one of my clients is going to be gifted a copy from me
Oh, thank you
because
so much, Gail.
it is so valuable. I believe in it so much.
Yeah,
As I said at the beginning, our work dovetails so beautifully, and I think this book should be in the hands of everyone.
thank you. Thank you so much.
So,
And
on
so,
that note,
yeah.
show it to us again.
Well, I'm so thrilled that it actually was just featured on Book Life's Cover Crush because it is so beautiful.
It
But it
is.
is, I was just so thrilled. The artist Jennifer Lum did an amazing job. We've got some gold to show how our lives can shine when we are in alignment and all of those pieces. But yeah, it's a conversational book. I do draw on, of course, Montessori philosophy, also some adult development theory. In terms of how do we grow into the fullest, most beautiful expression of ourselves.
Mhm.
So it is released in the world on September 23rd. And I am, for the next few weeks, running some incredible bonus offers. I don't mind telling you that I will never be offering again, but it is part of my push and part of my mission to move this book forward because I didn't write it because I needed something else to do or because I wanted to be famous. I was like not on social media at all until I started writing this book. And then I was like, I guess I better get on social media so people can find me. And but I just believe in this book, and I've seen, so many people who are amazing at what they do face one of two challenges. I've seen them, really face a crisis, a health crisis, a relationship crisis, something where their life mosaic really kind of shatters in a profound way, because they have sacrificed so much to their work and they have not been able to honor their own wholeness. Or
Mhm.
on the other hand, they know they need to honor their own wholeness and they can't figure out how to do that in a way that still makes them happy and proud of the work that they do. And so they leave that important work forever. And I've seen, teachers leave and nurses leave and people who are, some of the glue of our society. And I believe that there can be another way. I believe that there can be a both and where we can, take care of ourselves. So, in service of that mission, I am offering on my book, alignment-book.com. You can find a bunch of things for anyone who orders just even one book. We're going to have an alignment summit. There's going to be a workbook delivered to you. You can start reading the first 3 chapters right now today if you want to. And then from there, if you want, 5 books for your friends and family, or if you're an organizational leader and you want to bring this to your community, I've not only discounted my speaking fees, but I've also made the books basically free. So that is only available until September 23rd and for a limited number of those bigger packages, because I have to honor my
Absolutely.
own alignment.
Yes, you
So
do.
many keynotes I can give, but thank you so much, Gail, for allowing me perhaps to be of service to your community because I know the work that you do in the world is amazing and moving the needle towards a more beautiful world, which is what we need. So thank you.
You're welcome. One more thing.
Yes.
Any last words of wisdom for the people we've been talking about
Yeah.
who are wanting to step into alignment? What's one little thing they can do starting right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I know that this is hard when you are a high achieving woman who is the glue for all of the pieces and all of the people in your lives, and you almost never even interact with somebody that you're not responsible for, right?
Mm.
When you have that piece. But the first step in the alignment process is to practice some deep noticing, and it's to learn to tune into who you are. What is your unique brand of magic? What are your most important wants and needs out of this one life? Because there's no dress rehearsal for life. This is what we have. This is the only one we get. And so I would say 2 things to your audience. Number one, this is possible, and you are in charge of it. No one else can decide your alignment for you. So I want to empower people to see what is possible. And number two, it starts with just spending some time with yourself, doing some deep noticing. And I talk about different strategies you can tap into. There's all kinds of different ways, but that is the first step. And as we learn to do that, as we build that habit, we get faster and faster at noticing when we're in alignment or when we're moving out of alignment. And so
Exactly.
that's how we make this whole thing go, right? Because we
Mhm.
realize that like, nope, this is taking me out of alignment. It's time to come back to center because we'll be realigning our whole lives. This is not a one and done situation, but we get better at it the more we tune into ourselves. And I know that's what you help people do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, this is so great, Katie. Thank you so much. It's been an
Well, it's been a
absolute
pleasure.
pleasure.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.